Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Not Just Revenue podcast. Last week, I asked you I'm like, please, feel free to ask me questions and what sort of thing you want on the podcast. And I had a fantastic suggestion from Krissy. Hi, Krissy. I know you're an avid listener. Krissy has asked a fantastic question that I feel like most people will be asking at some point in their business. And is a question that I have been asking myself, these last couple of months as well. So over those last couple of months, I have kind of gotten quite good at doing this. And that is, what do you do when you need a cash injection? Like, what do you do when you need money like yesterday? Okay, so I'm thinking around, we need 1 to 2K and we need it by 3 p.m. today. How do we do that? How do we just generate that kind of cash, especially when maybe things are feeling quite slow? So to give you context on where my business has been at for a little while, I know I've talked about this and I'm quite open about this on the podcast, and that is that it has been a tight cash flow era. I know 100% why, but alas, we're here and I had to navigate it because I'm a business owner and I have to the money, to pay my bills. There was a non-negotiable amount of money that I needed to take home. And so everything revolves around that. And in business, and my kind of methodology around how you build your business is that everything is finance first. Everything is focused on what you as the business owner need and want to take home and how you want to live your life. And so with that, there becomes a baseline, right? There's a floor that you can't really go below, because once you go below that floor, that is when ultimately we end up using debt. And debt is a tool, and it is absolutely, if this was like a one-odd month, or let's say it was 3 months, but you had a really clear plan and that in 3 months you'd be on the other side. But when you don't know and you don't have that strategy and you're not clear on it, debt isn't really an option, because you'll just end up spiraling. And that is when we see people kind of amass large amounts of debt. So how do you generate that income? So I'm going to walk through a few things that I guess I've tried and tested, a few things I know clients have done, and just a few things I know that work. So the first thing is to always get clear on what you actually need, because so many people are avoiding their numbers, avoiding their finances, and they think there's a gap when there might not even be a gap. And I've seen this so many times where I have worked with people and they're kind of treating every single month like a restart and not considering the money that they already have coming in from payment plans or things that maybe were contracted and signed months ago, but actually the cash is hitting this month. And when we look at things, sometimes the gap might be a lot smaller than you think, if there is even a gap at all. So that's the first thing, is to we need to pull our head out of the sand and we need to look at our actual financial situation. So what is coming in this month? What is going out that month? Okay. This is always going to be our baseline. Anyone who, if you listen to any business coach, any sales strategist, business strategist, whatever you want to call them, and you listen to an episode like this and they start talking about the methods, the money-making methods straight away, they'd miss such a vital part, because there is an assumption there, an assumption that shouldn't be there based on my skills and my expertise and my experience. The assumption that someone, if they are asking this question, they legitimately need the money. They don't know. Half the time, you don't know. You have your head in the sand. You think there's a problem when there might not even necessarily be a problem. Because we catastrophize, our brains love to fill in the gaps. And we have a negativity bias, which means that we're always going to assume the worst in a way to protect ourselves. Okay? Doesn't actually help us, but this is just how our brains work. So we always want to start with the gap. And also, we need to make sure that when we are working out the gap, we are basing that on real numbers. We're not just going, my sale, my goal is to have, 5K months, and that, based on experience, that covers everything I need. But that's based on, when I have 5K, I feel like I have enough. Not, when I have 5K, I literally have enough for these 20 bills and my average food spending and my business expenses. So we want to get really granular. We want to really work out, okay, how much do I need to pay myself? So what are my bills? When are they coming out? How much do I spend on average on groceries, on fuel, on like just life? Okay, how much on average do I spend? And obviously your business expenses as well. Now that, I call that a financial audit. Pretty self-explanatory, does what it says in the tin. But once you have all that information, you already have a load of solutions to your problem. Okay, because in that, you will see ways of cutting back. So not only will that show you that maybe you do already have enough money and you're fine, but if you, let's say you don't, like you do that and you're like, okay, I'm still like 1K, 2K short, you now have ways of meeting. So you can reduce the gap. Is there anything that you can pause this month? Maybe you do have debt, or you do have savings, or you do have investments that you put into every single month, a pension. Can you pause on that for 1 month? The answer is yes. Yes, you can. Can you reduce how much you're contributing this month or in this kind of low cash flow period? Is there any bills or subscriptions, things you're paying for that you just don't use? Is your food spending really high because you're not meal planning? Like, there are lots of little things that you could do. And I'm not saying you have to kind of do this forever. I hate meal planning. And in this period of life that we're in, it just works really well for us. I have a dream that, in maybe a year's time, I can go back to not having to worry about it and just have like a much larger food budget and just do what I want. So there will always going to be periods in our lives where we have to be more frugal versus, being more fancy free with our spending. So that is the first task, okay? You are not allowed to go out there and try and make more money without getting really clear on what the gap is, okay? Because you might be out there trying to make an extra £500 when your gap is 2K. So there's a problem there, right? Also, when we know what the gap is, we can reverse engineer the strategy. We can reverse engineer the sales strategy to hit that goal. So I'm going to use a 2K example, okay? And I'm going to think about different ways in which I can generate 2K into my business today, okay? So the first thing is pretty obvious, but I want you to actually think about your leads. Like, who do you have that has shown an interest? And this is something that I always thought, like, I was always telling myself, like, oh, I maybe have like 1 or 2 leads, like, there's no one there. I would just tell myself, like, there's no one there, no one's interested, and that's why I'm in this pickle in the first place. And then there was one day where I was kind of chatting with ChatGPT, and I was like, with Claude, and I'm like, okay, I do genuinely need to make money yesterday. And obviously it did the same thing. It was like, girl, where are your leads? And I was like, I don't have any. And it was like, okay, you probably do though. I plan, okay, true. And I asked it we kind of came to this idea of like, I do have people in the DMs, but I don't necessarily, I haven't chatted to them in a long time, or I've not nurtured them, or just, I've not really been a good business owner to them. And I don't kind of have them tracked anywhere as a lead. I don't even know if they are technically a lead. And I asked, like, what are the sorts of things that people will be saying in my DMs that would imply they are interested in working with me? I came up with a few phrases and kind of typical things that I see with ideal clients as well. So like the word overwhelmed, the word interested, just little kind of words like that, brainstorming words like that. What are the typical words that people say when they are thinking about working with you, or when they're kind of like putting the feelers out and they're asking about whether or not an offer might be right for them? I did that activity and I searched my Instagram, and I ended up going back to and writing to 8 people. I went into this with, I have no leads, like I have no one that I can like pitch to right now, to pitching to 8 people. Okay, so that's number 1. Let's go and actually find your leads. Make a note of them. I'm like, am I chatting to this person because like we're a friend, or am I chatting to them because like there's a potential we could work together? Okay, so go into your leads. The second thing is going back to your past clients, current and past clients, okay? This is, again, something that I have not been great with in the past, but I know it is such an easy way because, and this is why when I work with people in the offer suite now, I preach about client lifetime value, okay? Because if someone comes into our world once, they will likely come into our world again. They have already experienced your way of working, your knowledge, your expertise, and they want more of that, especially if they had a good, if they had a good result. They had a good experience. Okay, so if you have anyone, past testimonial, they're doing really well, like they really loved your work, just go back to them, check in. You'd be like, hey, how's it going? Obviously make it personal. So address something that maybe you work together on. How is that going? And you can put the feelers out there. So whether it's maybe they still need help, maybe something has, life threw them a curveball and they're kind of maybe back where they were, or maybe they are doing really well now and they're ready for this kind of like next phase, this next level. Basically, what can you pitch them? And you might be again like, oh, I don't have anything because my offer solves the problem and so everything's great. But your offer might have solved a problem, but it probably created a new problem as well. So to give an example I'll give a few examples. So first of all, me being when I was just a money coach, I would work with people who were in debt and they had no control over their money. And so we'd work together, they'd implement this financial system, all of a sudden they've got control of the money, they've got savings and debt is being paid off. Fantastic. What's the new problem? But what do they do once the debt's paid off? What's the next step? Do they want to start investing? Do they want to work on their retirement plan? Do they have bigger goals that need more financial strategy? Has it thrown up more money mindset issues? Because their identity is around being stuck in debt and now they're not. And now they don't know what they're doing. There's so many ways in which there's a new problem. Doing, for example, a brand designer, okay? Let's say you're a brand or even a website designer, this kind of applies to, but you've done someone's brand, you've done someone's web design, they go off on their merry way, they're fantastic, maybe leave you a fantastic testimonial. But then a few months later, maybe they launch a new offer or they go for a repositioning shift or something like that. And they're like, I feel like I need a little refresh. Always be checking in. Always be checking in. How's it going? How's it landing? And I'm someone who, maybe it's ADHD, maybe it's just who I am, but after 6 months of anything, I get bored. Usually my hair changes every 6 months because I just get bored. And I have experienced this recently, I've got the ick with my brand. I've got the ick. I'm like, oh, I'm like, that is going to affect how I'm showing up. Okay, so there's always going to be things that maybe they need to update their website and they just don't know how. Maybe they need a new sales page. Maybe they need, there's going to be so many things that they might need. So just always come, just check back in. Even if it's once every quarter or twice a year, every 6 months, just check in. How's it going? How's it working for you? Do you need any updates? No one, I think we always assume that people are going to find us annoying if we're checking in, but they don't. And I think this is obviously something that I used to feel as well, I'm just being annoying. But then the amount of people who replied to me being like, oh my God, thank you so much for checking in, because actually this is exactly what I need right now. Or thank you so much for checking in. Some people have been like, thank you so much for checking in because this has given me the confidence to go and check in with my clients as well. For me, that's a win. Okay, I've still helped them in some way. Yeah. Is there or are there past clients that you can go back to? Okay. The next thing is to put out a new offer. And it doesn't have to be a massive offer. Does not need to, I wouldn't do a group program. I wouldn't even necessarily do a long-term one-to-one program. I'm talking intensives or a workshop or something like that. Something that is small. If you're more of a service provider, maybe it's one part of a project. If you're a web designer, can you offer a sales page? If you're a brand designer, can you offer a new, a refreshed color palette? I don't know, I'm just putting ideas out of them for the brand designer piece. But there will be things. And the best thing you can do is to go back to past data. Always be, every time you do a launch, every time you offer a new service and people don't join, ask them why. Okay, I always put out a little survey at the end of my launches. And I'm like, okay, why didn't you join this time? Why wasn't now the right time? Or was it the offer? Or what was it? And I don't put money as an option. Never put money as an option, because everyone will go, I couldn't afford it. Everyone. Okay. Because they think the reason is they can't afford it. But what that actually means is they can't justify the price because it's not what they need right now. And so you're basically asking them, okay, why isn't it what you need right now? Rather than, why didn't you join? Because they're going to say money. So never have money as an option. Or typically you could phrase the question like, other than money, like other than affordability, what are the reasons? I typically do multiple choice in my email. And then I have like, click here to tell me more. And that goes into like a wider form. And it's just one question. It's just like one text box. And it's like, give me more context. This information is a goldmine, okay? Because this is everything that your ideal client, well, people that want to work with you are literally telling you what they need. And so always go back to that, okay? So is there anything in there that you are like, okay, these people don't join because it's not the right stage for them, or they don't know if they're the right fit, or things like that? It's going to give you so many more questions to answer in your content. It's going to give you leads that maybe you didn't know. If you can track the person to the data and they say, oh, it's just not the right fit for me right now, you can go back to them and go, hey, what would be the right fit? And you can see what are the recurrent themes that come up. And this is actually how I came up with my new offer, which has sold incredibly well, like in the space of 8 to 10 days. In a period of 8 to 10 days, it went from me just like putting a story on my Instagram being like, hey, I'm thinking of doing an offer. This is what it is. Like one story frame, to 8 to 10 days later, let's say 10 days later, all spots are gone. Okay. There was no massive campaign or anything. What it was is I was like, hey, what is the one thing? What keeps coming up? Like, why don't these people work with me? And the one thing that always, like literally always, every single time, oh, I'm not at 5K months yet. I don't earn enough money yet. I'm still at 2 to 3K months. I'm stuck at 2 to 3K months. And that's why people can't work with me as a money coach, because they need to pay themselves, 2K a month. So only generating 2 to 3K a month in their business when they have other expenses means that they're constantly chasing their tail. I just find it so annoying. Anyone, if you're listening to this and you're a past business coach of mine, I'm sorry. I don't know why I couldn't see it. But I used to always be like, oh, that's so annoying, because like if they did work with me, they would know that I can help them with all of that because of like the method that I use. And I was teaching that method inside my programs, like this predictable income method. I have been using that like a year, almost 2 years, okay? But I wasn't being really upfront with it. And I know part of the issue was that I didn't want to kind of talk about money making. I wanted people, that wanted to manage their money. But people weren't coming to me because they need to make more money. And rather than me being like, and try and convince them, come join this program and you'll learn all of that and more, when they're like, girl, I don't have any money, just meet them where they're at. And so I went, okay, why not let's just own this? Let's just own this. And I created a one-to-one offer that was like, hey, if you are stuck at 2 to 3K months and you want to get to consistent 5K months so you can pay yourself 2K a month, this is the offer where we're going to do it. Boom. Sold out. Okay. So listen to what people are telling you. And rather than think, oh, that's so annoying because if they just worked with me, they would know that. Just get clearer. Just get so incredibly clear of like, okay, you're saying you have this problem. Here is an offer that solves that problem. And it doesn't need, I obviously did a one-to-one offer, but it doesn't need to be that. It can be, maybe there's an intensive. Maybe there's an intensive session that you offer. And in 90 minutes, we're going to solve this exact problem. It's a workshop. In 90 minutes, we're going to solve this exact problem, That is going to go down well. And you can use your current audience to sell it. Even if you're thinking, oh, my audience won't be interested in it. You've got the data there to say that they are. And so this was, like I said, in the DMs, like this was always the conversations I was having. I would love to work with you, but I'm not even at 3K months yet. I would love to work with you, but I don't have a consistent income yet. And I'm like, okay, how about you work with me and you do that? And yeah, okay, it took me looking at my offers, and rather than going, okay, I've got one main offer that you can come into and we do everything on that offer, going, do you know what? Yeah, maybe the business girlies were right. And maybe that big offer, I'm talking about six-figure safety, does need to be for the person who is already making the money and they want to learn to manage it and build personal wealth and pay off debt. Versus the person who is not yet making consistent income, they just want to make consistent income. Okay. Yes, they want to build savings, but the more pressing issue, the more urgent issue is that. Anyway, I'm going on like a whole tangent on my offers, which I don't want to do. To kind of summarize what to do when you need money, like yesterday. Get clear on the gap. Okay. Audit your current financial situation. Get clear on what is the gap that is actually missing. Is there anything you can cut back on or pause for this month? Okay, so you actually don't need to make as much money. So we're shortening the gap. Go to current leads. Go and find them. Okay, they are there. They are in your email list. Who are the people that click on those links over and over again? Who are the people that open up, like start conversations with you? Who are the people that have replied to, your Instagram posts and said, oh, this is so useful? And where are they? Go back to your past clients who you help solve a problem. Think about what is the new problem that they are facing, okay? And pitch to them, okay? Or, just check in. How are you doing? Maybe, like I said, maybe they're back where they are because, life happens, life does happen. And can you create a new, smaller offer, a more intentional and more specific offer that solves a really urgent, specific problem that your audience are telling you that they have? Okay, just one lower ticket offer, because there might be a reason. Let's say your offer is 3K. That's, someone who is willing to invest 3K, they have to have that belief in you. They have to have that belief in themselves. And they have to have belief that this is the right offer for their specific problem. Whereas if you reduce, like when something is lower ticket, you can still use that to tell them, yes, the 3K offer is what you need, but it kind of lowers the barrier to entry. So if they're thinking, okay, if this isn't for me, if, she's not the coach for me, the mentor for me, the, designer for me, or if this isn't the right offer for me, at least I will know. Okay, at least I will know. And answers in and of themselves like that are worth money. But still, you're still going to offer in that smaller, lower ticket offer like a solution to an urgent problem that they have. And because it lowers that barrier to entry, you're going to get a lot more people. Like if you use the right content, the right kind of problem that you're solving, you will get enough people. And you can use all of these. I'm not saying you have to make 2K from a low ticket offer. Let's say you get one lead and you convert into an offer and they're on a payment plan. Okay, maybe you've reduced this 2K gap by £500 this month. Okay, you've still got 1.5K. You go back to a past client, and again, someone's like, yeah, do you know what? I do need to work with you again. But maybe they just need like a one-off session. So you sell them an intensive. Okay, let's say there's another I'm doing round numbers because easy maths. But let's say it's another 500. Okay, now we've only got £1,000. Okay, let's say you do a lower ticket offer. Let's say you do a workshop and you price it at £47. Okay. I'm literally having to open my calculator to work out what is 1,000 divided by 47. So you would need 22 people in that workshop. That is so doable. Let's say you also have a bump. Let's say you sell that, but also let's say it's a offer on, again, I'm just going to give an example of my own stuff that's easy to think of, but let's say the workshop is on pricing. Maybe the bump can be access to my pricing calculator for another £47. So let's say that I only get, 15 people in, but 5 of those people upgrade with that. So you can mix and match the different methods. So yeah, that is how I would generate money like yesterday if I need to, how I have been generating money over the last few months while I work out what this new positioning and era looked like. And I am very happy to say that we are back. We are back with a bang. The mojo is back. And that is on taking some time out to really stop and think about what you want to be known for and how you help people and how you like helping people. What is the stuff that lights you up? And really owning that. I will speak to you very, very soon. Bye.